Everyone, it's Farmer Smallman coming to you on week 3 of virtual summer camp. Today we're going to be having a math lesson and learning more about area and perimeter. Before this video, you've watched a couple of videos explaining how to find it. And right now we're just going to go in a little more and do some practice problems. And then I'm going to show you your fun activity that you will have to complete today and on Wednesday. Okay, so I want to start with talking about perimeter. Perimeter is the distance on the outside of a shape. And to determine the perimeter, all you have to do is add all of the sides. All right, let's look at a few examples. So I have two regular shapes here. I have a rectangle and a square. And if you remember back to week 1, we talked a little bit about characteristics of these two shapes. So I already have them labeled for us here. This first one is a rectangle, and our top side is 8 inches, and our side is 4 inches. It's already pre-labeled for us here. But I need us to remember, if our top is 8, that means our bottom is also 8. And if our side is 4, this side is also 4. So to determine the perimeter of this shape, we're going to simply, like we said, add all of our sides. So we have 4 plus 4 plus 8 plus 8, which gives us a total perimeter of 24 inches. Down here, I have a square. And if you remember a characteristic of a square, it is all sides are exactly the same. So I have it pre-labeled for us here. Each side is equal to 5 inches. So just like I said earlier, to find perimeter, you add all of your sides. I'm going to add 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5, which equals 20 inches. All right, now we're going to look at a couple of shapes that are not all the way filled in with their measurements. So we need to look at how we know what the other sides are. All right, so as I've always said to you guys who have been in my class before, I am not the best artist. We are just going to pretend that this is a regular hexagon, all right? We're gonna pretend that all of the sides that I drew are exactly the same size. So just pretend that for me and we'll be good to go. All right, notice on this hexagon, I only have one of the sides labeled at 3 inches. If you remember back to week 1 in our geometry lesson, we talked about regular polygons like this means all of their sides are exactly the same. So if I have one side labeled as 3 inches, I now know that every other side of this hexagon is also 3 inches. So to add all of their sides up, to help me, I go ahead and label each of my sides, so when I'm adding them, I don't forget them. So now I'm going to add 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. And that's going to be 3 6 times, so it's going to be 18 inches. Another way you could have done this that saves you a little bit of time is we all know that multiplication is simply repeated addition. So instead of simply writing my addition sentence, I could have written a multiplication problem, starting with my length, which is 3, and multiplying it times how many total sides there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I could have written 3 times 6 and would also get 18 inches. Okay? All right, here's our other one. I have another rectangle, and the top is labeled at 10 inches, and the side is labeled at 6 inches. Remember, whatever the top is, the bottom will also be, because these are the same. And the same goes for the sides. So I'm going to go ahead and label these so I don't forget. And then I am going to add them. I have 10 plus 10 plus 6 plus 6. And that is equal to 10 plus 10 is 20, 26, 32 inches. Okay? You got that? Very good. Now, let's look at area. Area is the amount of space, the surface area of a flat or a two-dimensional shape. To find the area, we are going to multiply the length times the width. And I added this flat part here and the two-dimensional because when we're talking about three-dimensional shapes, we do it slightly differently, and we're not there yet. All right, let's look at a few examples. Here we have what we call a formula, and this formula helps to tell us how to calculate the area. The formula for area is A, which is area, equals length times width. I started with a rectangle, and I have labeled the top and the side. The top is 15 feet, and the side is 15 feet. Unlike the perimeter, where we're only worried about the outside edges, the area is all of this on the inside of this flat shape. So to do that, we're going to multiply the length times the width. So we have 15 and 5. Area equals 15 times 5, which equals to 75 feet squared, or 75 square feet. Don't forget to put this here. I showed you how to do this because we need to go back and remember how to do our multiplication. No need to try to guess at it. Always just set your problem up if you have something above a 12, which I know you should be fluent up to your 12s, but if not, don't forget to set it up. All right, I have one more example for us to find the area of this, and it's another one of our shapes where I have only labeled one of the sides. Let's pretend like this is an exact square, and remember one of the characteristics of squares are all sides are exactly the same. So if this is 8, this is also 8. So if we remember, our formula is area equals length times width. All right, so let's write this down. Area equals 8, which is our length. And since it's a square, we also know our width is going to be 8. So area equals 8 times 8, which is 64 feet squared, or square feet. Okay, very, very good. What I want to do now is I want to show you, and if you want to go ahead and get into your resource bags and pull these things out, you can. Or you can just watch and just look at what I have, and then you can get into it later. You should have 2 brochures. One is orange and the other one is white. This white one that I have is actually your orange one. The other one that you have is a challenge one. It's a little more difficult. It's going to challenge you and ask you to do things that are a little more in depth. So on this, and you also have a sheet that's explaining it to you if you want to read the directions when you get to work on this by yourself. When you open it up, it's going to give you some information and ask you some questions to fill out. But the meat of your work is going to be on the inside, and it's going to give you some shapes. And some of them are going to give you the perimeter already. And some of them are going to ask you to calculate the area. This is what your Monday activity is. It is chicken coops, perimeter, and area. Here's that direction page I was talking about. So you will read through this, and it will help you with your activity for your brochure. Also, you have a sheet that looks like this. This is where you get to design your own chicken coops. And I want you to be able to design it and then determine its area and its perimeter. For right now, I want you to just use straight lines on these lines. Don't use diagonals because we haven't talked about how to determine the area using that. So just straight lines on those black lines. And then after you've had fun with making your brochure, you have 2 sheets to help you practice. All you're doing is you are determining the perimeter on this sheet. So remember, perimeter is all the way around. And if you've forgotten, you go back and watch this video again or read through the directions up here and it tells you what it is. And your last one for Monday is right here. And also you've got a fun snack to eat on Monday too, so enjoy that. I want to go ahead and show you your Wednesday activity also. It is a farm builder with area and perimeter. So you're going to be doing some of the stuff you did today, but a little bit differently, just not chicken coops. You have another grid paper to design your farm. And here, your next sheet is going to be a letter from Old MacDonald telling you that he's building a new farm in town. And he's given you what he needs on his farm and the dimensions, the area, the perimeter, and he's going to ask you to help him out. And your last sheet here is your to-do list for creating the farm. Just check these things off as you go.